So you're thinking of moving to the Twin Cities, but you're wondering Minneapolis versus St. Paul. We get asked this question all the time. And honestly, they're only 10 miles apart, but the lifestyles between Minneapolis versus St. Paul are quite different. And most videos really only scratch the surface, but today we're really gonna break that down for you, what the difference is.
So I'm Andy and this is Julie, and we're the Twin Cities Move Smart team, and we help people make moves within the Twin Cities and move into the Twin Cities every day. What we want to do is show you the differences so you can make an informed decision on your own.
So today we're going to walk you through the 5 big differences between living in Minneapolis versus St. Paul. The neighborhoods, the vibe, home prices, but make sure you stick around for number 5 because that's the one that's really going to surprise you.
Okay, so the big question is Minneapolis versus St. Paul. Please make a comment below. We read every comment and we will respond to it because we want to know what you're thinking.
Okay, so personalities. This is one of the biggest differences that you kind of notice right away. Minneapolis definitely is bigger, around 430,000 for the population versus St. Paul's 310,000 approximately for the population. And honestly, when you are just out and about, especially in the downtown areas of both, you definitely do notice that different vibe.
Right, and Minneapolis has one thing going for it, which is a lot of energy and a different type of vibe. So you have the lakes area, Calhoun, Harriet, and Lake of the Isles. And we have Northeast, which Northeast covers an area that's really known for its restaurants and pubs, and also the art scene. So it's really big on that.
Coffee shops, it's just honestly kind of a fun area. A lot of walkability.
Right.
Very popular.
And then you also have Uptown, which definitely has a younger vibe. You got your 20s and 30s. Again, lots of restaurants. Again, has the coffee shops, but a lot of great walking around areas where if you're looking for a lot of things to do, that's where you want to be.
St. Paul, and we say this with love, is definitely the quieter of the twins compared to Minneapolis, but it does have a lot of great historic features. As you can see, we're walking down Summit Avenue, which is part of Summit Hill, which is a really popular historic area. We also have Cathedral Hill, so there's really some just grand homes. As you can kind of see, there's a lot of Victorian homes on this street. And fun fact, it has 370 historic Victorian era homes, which is the largest in the US actually of preserved Victorian era homes in one area. So that's kind of a fun fact. And then in addition to that, there's also Grand Avenue, which is really popular as well. It's a really fun location. It's got coffee shop, boutiques, really kind of a different vibe than that you don't necessarily find in a lot of other areas.
Yeah, they even have, you know, you can live in one part of it and above there's a business or business down below and live up above. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Definitely an area you want to check out.
Yeah, so what you're finding here is a different vibe between the two cities. Minneapolis, a lot more energy, a lot more nightlife, just a lot more things that are going on. Like you said, it's just quiets down in St. Paul at night. So if you're more energy, looking for a lot more things to do, a lot more nightlife, Minneapolis is your thing. If you're looking for a little quieter, but still restaurants and activities going on, St. Paul may be your thing.
Okay, now we're going to talk neighborhoods because this is where it really gets specific. And this is the conversation we have with almost all of our clients.
So if you're coming to Minneapolis, a lot of people end up going to Northeast, mostly because of walkability, the restaurants, just a lot of things that are around there that are really appealing. Second of all, another one that comes up a lot would be the South Minneapolis. Again, the lakes area, you've got a lot of walkability again, restaurants, coffee shops, all those wonderful things.
The neighborhoods we get asked about the most for St. Paul are West 7th, which kind of has that Irish downtown pub feel. Mancini's is a popular restaurant down there.
Steakhouse, actually, really well-known steakhouse.
Yeah.
Mancini's, been there, it's awesome. Anyway, had to add my little bit into there.
Emerald Lounge is another really popular restaurant down there. Lower Town is another neighborhood that we get asked about a lot. It's the Arts District, it's close to St. Paul. It's got a lot of really fun, popular things to do down there.
And then I want to add one more in that area, Casetta's, near West 7th, an awesome restaurant, very well known. Lots of seating. It's got 2 floors where you can grab and go or go upstairs and eat. So Casetta's, you got to add that to your list too if you're looking at restaurants.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, Summit and Cathedral Hill are also some really popular neighborhoods, but we already covered those. Highland Park is another growing area that's great for walkability. highly rated schools, and it's close to the river too.
Okay, so one practical thing to mention about driving. So Minneapolis, very grid style. Streets really seem to make sense. Where St. Paul's a little different. They're going to be a little more winding, a little more meandering, if you will. So make sure you have your GPS because you might get lost.
True. Although I still would say that I feel like it's a little bit easier to drive in St. Paul versus Minneapolis, just because it's a little bit of a smaller city compared to Minneapolis. So now we're going to transition to the thing that probably matters the most, which is home prices.
All right, so here's where we said we're going to get real honest with you. So when we talk about prices, Minneapolis is going to be a little bit more expensive than St. Paul. In 2026 especially, Minneapolis, your median price is going to run from $310 to $330, whereas in St. Paul, you're looking more of a $290 to $300,000 price range.
So if budget is a concern for you, and honestly, who is it not a concern for? St. Paul gives you a little bit more for your money right now.
Okay, now we got to talk about the other part of it too, which is taxes. In the last few years, St. Paul's taxes have gone up, which is something you need to consider, because even though the prices may be a little bit lower, your payment's going to reflect a little bit higher than expected because of the taxes.
And this is where working with a local realtor is really helpful, because we can help guide you through this. We know that it does vary from area to area, and we can help you make that choice. And if you're thinking of moving to the area, drop a comment below. We respond to every single one.
Okay, so we're talking commuting now. And a lot of people have maybe a significant other that works in St. Paul, the other that works in Minneapolis. You're trying to figure out which one's going to work best for you and what does it look like for a commute.
The Green Line connects downtown Minneapolis to downtown St. Paul, so that can be a great option for commuting. The only thing to point out is if it's wintertime, you do have to wait outside for that pickup.
Okay, we'll talk commute time. So Minneapolis, St. Paul commute times can be some of the shortest as far as major metropolitan areas go. 20, 25 minutes, but keep in mind that's depending on where you're coming from. If you're further outside of the first ring, we call them suburbs, right next to Minneapolis, St. Paul, it's going to be a lot longer than that.
True. Minneapolis typically has longer commute times. It does bottleneck around the Lowry Hill Tunnel. St. Paul, it's usually tied to the I-94 corridor.
Which is right behind us, actually.
Yes.
Okay, so the one thing we're going to talk about that we're having you wait for, the last point, which is it's not about crime, it's not about the neighborhoods, it's not about anything else that you can think of.
Yeah, so people here, I'm sure you've heard the phrase Minnesota nice, and that's true. People here are very nice. And if you're moving here and you're a transplant, you might notice that it takes a little bit longer to get to know people. And they call that the Minnesota freeze. So people here have been kind of connected to their social groups. And so sometimes it can take a little bit longer to get plugged in.
Here's what that actually means. So a lot of people have grown up here, maybe high school, college, and whatever. So they have established relationships. So what that means is that it's going to be a little bit harder to make friends.
So if you're choosing between Minneapolis versus St. Paul, Minneapolis does have more people that are transplants. So it might be a little bit easier to be connecting socially versus if you choose St. Paul.
So in St. Paul, on the other hand, is a little more generational, meaning, second, third generation families growing up here, which means a really rooted, not that it's hard, it's just going to have a little more work on your part to kind of break in, let's say, to the neighborhood you're in, or maybe friend groups or those things that you're looking for when you move to a new city.
Yeah, and so the answer to it is really simple, though. You just maybe have to be a little bit more intentional to get plugged in. So making sure that you get involved in things that you're interested in, like rec leagues or your church, or going to local breweries where they maybe have a trivia night, any of those things. You just have to really choose to make the effort to get out there and know people so that you can have that more connected social life.
Okay, so second thing, St. Paul is, heavily mentioned, is a little bit quieter than Minneapolis. So once it gets to be about 6 or 7 at night, it's gonna be a lot more quiet. The only time it makes a difference is events. So we have the Grand Casino Arena, which is formerly known as the XL Energy Center, has concerts, the Minnesota Wild Games, and a lot of other events. So when those are going on, any concerts, any games, it's pretty busy downtown.
Yeah, and Minneapolis has more of a music scene. It's definitely just more of a nightlife. So if you're looking to stay up till bar close time, that scene might be more for you. Or St. Paul, you can still go out in the evening, but it just definitely has a different vibe to it. So and maybe that's what you're looking for. St. Paul might be maybe the more quieter city that might be fitting your needs. So whichever one it is that you're interested in. I guess let us know if you're thinking Minneapolis versus St. Paul. Drop a comment and let us know. We'd love to hear what you're looking at.
Okay, so our job is to help you with your whole life. It's not just square footage and homes and neighborhoods. We really want you to feel settled, find the right place for you, wherever they may be.
Yeah, and our job isn't to sell you on Minneapolis versus St. Paul. It's to make sure that you find a community that fits for you, whether it's either of those locations or maybe a suburb or any additional area that might be the best fit for you.
All right, so there you have it. Two really great cities, but very distinct differences between them, between the nightlife, the neighborhoods, and just the general vibe.
And if you're thinking either Minneapolis or St. Paul, drop a comment to us, follow us, like us, be sure to watch because we do drop a new video every single week and you don't want to miss out. We'd love to hear from you.
All right, and there's a link in the description for that if you want to make a comment about it.